There's a quiet tragedy unfolding every day. People are rushing through life, trying to get somewhere, be someone, achieve something, and missing everything, not because they don't care, but because they aren't listening. We think listening is something we do for other people, for podcasts, for music, for noise, but listening is something we owe ourselves every single day. Listening isn't passive. It's an act of bold participation. It's waking up and saying, I won't live this day on autopilot. It's looking your life in the eye and saying, I'm here for this, all of it. The messy, beautiful, boring, breaking, breathtaking, all of it. The loudest voice in your life is rarely the most honest. The world screams expectations, but your inner voice, it whispers truth. The kind that doesn't need an audience to matter. The kind that doesn't care if it's trending. The kind that knows you're not here to perform, you're here to live. Silence isn't absence. It's invitation. We run from it like it's a void, but silence is sacred ground. The place where clarity blooms. When you're brave enough to sit in silence, not fill it, not fix it, just be with it, you start to hear life differently. You begin to realize life has been talking to you the whole time. Through heartbreak, through restlessness, through laughter that felt like coming home, through the tears you wiped quietly in the car so no one would know. Life doesn't just speak in grand gestures, it speaks in glances, patterns, discomfort, and awe. In the way your shoulders tighten around certain people, in the way you breathe easier in certain spaces, in the way your soul whispers, more of this, or never again, and wisdom. It doesn't barge in, it waits patiently for you to slow down enough to hear it. You don't need more answers. You need deeper listening. Most people treat listening like a background task, something we do while waiting to speak, scrolling our phones, or half existing in the room. But real listening isn't passive. It's a full body, full heart participation in the present moment. It requires presence, curiosity, and a willingness to be changed by what we hear. Listening is how we say, this matters. It's how we honor both the speaker and the moment. It's not just about hearing words, it's about receiving the world behind those words, the emotion, the need, the vulnerability. When you truly listen to others, to life, to yourself, you stop skimming through experiences like chapters you've already read. You start showing up. You feel your heartbeat in the conversation. You start sensing the subtle cues, the pause before someone says, I'm fine. The shift in energy when a boundary is crossed, the ache in your own voice when you speak but don't yet believe yourself. Listening is how we bear witness to life instead of bypassing it. It's how we stay human in a world that's constantly numbing, rushing, and distracting us. And it's a choice we make daily to be awake rather than detached, to be responsive rather than reactive, to be fully here rather than somewhere else entirely. You don't have to fix anything to listen. You don't have to understand it all. You just have to be present. And that might be the most powerful offering you'll ever give to someone else and to yourself. So no, listening isn't passive. It's how we participate in life and how we stop wasting it. Just because something is loud doesn't mean it's honest. Just because it's everywhere doesn't mean it's right for you. We live in a world that shouts. Social media shouts opinions. Society shouts expectations. Fear shouts worst case scenarios. Even our own inner critic can shout insults wrapped in self-protection. But volume doesn't equal value. Noise isn't truth. In fact, truth often speaks in a much quieter tone. It comes in as a whisper, a knowing, a steady pull in your chest that says, this isn't who you are, or this is where you belong. But here's the thing, we're not trained to hear whispers. We're trained to respond to pressure, to urgency, to chaos. And that means we often mistake anxiety for instinct, panic for purpose, and fear for facts. The loudest voices in your head will often be the ones that were planted earliest, the voice that said you're too much or not enough, The voice that told you to stay small, to play it safe, to be quiet, to please others. These voices speak with authority, but they aren't truth, they're old scripts. And they'll run your life if you never stop to question them. Real truth is different. It doesn't force, it invites. It doesn't shame, it reveals. It doesn't scream at you. It waits for you to get still enough to listen. That's why inner work matters. That's why reflection isn't weakness. Because if you don't slow down and get honest, you'll spend your whole life obeying the loudest voice instead of the wisest one. And too often, the loudest voice is external, culture, family, media, friends, while your internal truth gets silenced. But your soul has its own language. And if you don't listen for it daily, you'll confuse noise with direction. So when the voices get loud, pause. When the pressure builds, breathe. When the world screams what you should do, ask yourself what feels true. Because the loudest voice might get your attention, but only the quiet truth will set you free. We often treat silence like something's missing, like it's a void we need to fill, an awkward pause we must rush to cover. But silence isn't the absence of meaning. It's the container that holds it. It's not empty. It's sacred. In a world addicted to noise and speed, silence has become uncomfortable. We equate it with loneliness, with disconnection, with being lost. But that's only because we've forgotten how to sit with ourselves without distraction. We've forgotten that silence is where the truth has always lived. Silence isn't a punishment. It's a portal. It's the space where the world's expectations fall quiet and your soul starts to speak. It's where you can hear your own breath, feel your own heartbeat, and notice what's actually going on beneath the surface. So many of us are afraid of silence because we know that once the noise stops, the emotions will rise, the grief, the regret, the truth we've been avoiding, the truth about what we want, what we fear, what we've outgrown. Silence holds all of that, but not to shame you, to liberate you. We don't need more answers. We need more room to receive them. And silence offers that room. It is not passive or empty, it's alive with wisdom. Think about it, nature grows in silence. Healing happens in silence. Creativity brews in silence. And your clarity, it's not hiding. It's just waiting for you to get quiet enough to meet it. The best conversations you'll have with yourself won't happen while you're busy proving, performing, or pretending. They'll happen in silence, in the stillness between decisions, in the early morning quiet before the world wakes, in the breath you finally allow yourself to take without apologizing for needing it. So no, silence isn't absence, it's presence. It's where the noise ends and the knowing begins. Don't run from it, enter it. Sit with it, let it do its work. Let it show you who you are when the world isn't watching. We're conditioned to look for meaning in the big things. The job promotions, the heartbreaks, the milestones, the mountain-top moments. But life doesn't just speak in the dramatic. It speaks loudly and clearly in the in-between, in the quiet, ordinary, overlooked places, and most of us are too distracted to hear it. We dismiss the everyday as routine when in fact it's a classroom. The way you feel drained after certain conversations, that's life speaking. The deep sigh when you sit down at the end of the day, that's life speaking. The ache you feel while pretending to be okay, that's not random. That's a message. We're trained to override these subtle signals in favor of what looks impressive, what gains approval, or what keeps the peace. But those small internal nudges are how your soul taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, something needs your attention. We wait for wake-up calls, but they've already come. They came in the form of that restless feeling you couldn't name. They came in the moment you laughed with someone and felt like yourself again. They came in the tears you wiped away when no one was watching. Life has been talking to you. You just didn't think those moments were important enough to matter. But they do. They matter more than you think, because that's where transformation starts, not with giant leaps, but with small acknowledgments. I don't feel safe here. I come alive when I'm doing this. This isn't working anymore. When you ignore these moments, you start living reactively instead of intentionally. You start sleepwalking through a life that's actually trying to wake you up. You chase after signs, not realizing you're walking through them every day. Meaning isn't something you find at the finish line. It's something you meet in the middle of your mess. It's in the pause before you answer, in the choice to stay instead of run, in the smile from a stranger that reminds you of your own softness. So don't overlook what seems ordinary. Don't dismiss what doesn't look profound on the outside, because often the most important moments are the quietest. And if you lean in, if you pay attention, you'll realize that life has been trying to guide you all along, not with fireworks, but with footsteps. In a culture obsessed with quick fixes, loud opinions, and instant answers, we often mistake noise for knowledge and urgency for insight. But real wisdom, it doesn't force itself on you. It doesn't compete for your attention like an ad. It waits for you to get quiet enough, still enough, honest enough, we hear it. Wisdom lies beneath the surface of reaction. It's not found in the panic of a deadline, the chaos of conflict, or the heat of emotional reactivity. It doesn't thrive in your scrolling thumb or your racing thoughts. It rises in reflection. It waits in stillness. It appears not in the rush to respond, but in the courage to pause. Here's the truth. Connect ourselves. It won't interrupt you. It won't wrestle your ego or demand to be right. It's not going to argue with your distractions or beg for your validation. Instead, it quietly offers itself the moment you make space for it. You've likely felt it before. In the calm that came after the breakdown, in the clarity that surfaced when you finally stopped defending yourself, in the knowing that arrived once you stopped trying to force everything into place. That's wisdom, soft, secure, and always there. But to receive it, you have to be willing to turn down the volume on everything else. You have to stop reacting long enough to reflect. You have to connect ourselves. You have to go of being impressive and start being real with yourself. With ourselves, wisdom doesn't need to shout because it isn't trying to manipulate you. It's not in a rush. It's not here to control. It's here to guide, but only if you're willing to listen. And this is where most people struggle. We're conditioned to seek outside ourselves, to ask everyone else what they think, to poll our friends, to chase answers in podcasts, gear us. But the real answers, they've been inside you all along. You just didn't trust the quiet enough to believe it. Wisdom is your inner compass. It doesn't scream. It nudges. It whispers, you already know. And when you finally stop searching everywhere else, you'll realize the insight, the healing, the next step you've been waiting for. It's not hidden. It's just been patiently waiting for your attention. So the question is not whether wisdom is speaking. The question is, are you willing to be still enough to hear it? We spend so much of our lives trying to figure people out, trying to decode their mixed signals, rationalize their behavior, or project onto them who we hope they are. But the truth is, most people aren't hiding with ourselves. They're telling us exactly who they are. We're just not listening with clarity. We're listening with filters, with assumptions,